Alrighty, good morning, everybody. I hope you had an awesome 2 weeks off the show. I mean, it feels to me like a month since we last did a show. So,
At least.
yeah, it's ridiculous. And Benjamin is here. He's got his little blankie and his beanie. And winter is absolutely here, so I totally get it. A week ago I would have called you a pussy for this, but I'm now on your side, man. It is cold as a witch's.
I mean, you're welcome to call me what you want. You have before, but it's just an ungodly thing this right now, hey? Single digits in beginning of May. Give us a break.
That's not good. Look at this. Look at M. She's in Spain at the moment doing something my sister's boyfriend did a couple of years ago, the Camino, which is that unbelievable hike, effectively, across northern Spain. It's magnificent. She says, just about to get up for a brutal stage on the Camino Primitivo. This break has been too long. You see, she agrees. Too long. We're not going to do public holidays, but I got good news for you. There are no public holidays until probably August.
Nice.
The ones, I think there's June 16th, but that falls on like a Saturday, so we get no bonas from that at all. And you know how I feel about how little people do during those weeks where there's a public holiday? Absolutely was true for last week. That the Monday and the Friday off. I mean, I was on the road on Tuesday and Thursday last week. There was no traffic. There was nobody. No, people were just not doing anything. It was wild. Ben, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, my internet's just... That's another thing I find in this third world nowadays. My internet, when the weather gets too cold, actually like freezes, literally.
Patchy. Nico points out that we had the first snow on the Berg. That's also insane. And in the Eastern Cape, these floods they've been having are, I mean, the Eastern Cape, I'd say some terrible things about that place, but wasn't it just the other day that PE and Knysna and George and Plet and East London and pretty much the whole Eastern Cape didn't have any water? Their dams were, feels like just the other day, it was probably about 3 years ago, but they were dry as the Sahara. And now all their dams are full and the roads are rivers. Eastern Cape, I'm telling you, God sends funny messages to places. And the message he's sending to the Eastern Cape is he does not like you.
Gareth, I think it was literally maybe this year even, like this summer, there was the drought. The drought's been a thing. They've been told, you have no water. Like, wow, kick us while we're down.
You remember that? They had water restrictions. People in PE were concerned that they were all going to flush their toilets like once a week. And it was bad. I mean, I had friends who were staying in PE and they said to me they were genuinely concerned. In fact, a whole bunch of people decided to move out of the Eastern Cape during that time because they were genuinely concerned, and rightly so at the time, that they wouldn't have any water. Now, it seems like it's monsoon tropical thunderstorms every other day, and the place is basically underwater.
But not just that, like the actual ocean, the ocean is angry as well. It's pelting the coastline. Anybody who's got a house close to it, it really is pretty rough.
Mad, bad, and dangerous to know. So I always love, and welcome to the comment section that's back with a bang. We've got to address something that Bitcoin Bot mentioned earlier on about the government who are coming after people's crypto assets. I don't know if you saw that. We'll get into it a little later. What I love about the regulars in the comment section, and I know that there are plenty of people who don't join in the comment section. You're more than welcome to do that. You just want to lurk in the background. That's also cool. Maybe you got shit to do. I mean, I love the fact that there are people interacting here, like Audrey, who reminds us that today is also David Attenborough's 100th birthday.
Oh, awesome. Bat raise. Well played.
What a good guy. Oh. So you see, we find out things and we we are reminded of important information by the gentle people of the comment section, which is excellent. Got a full show of stuff for you today. We have so much to get to, so many people to talk to. We're going to meet a guy called Simon. I call him Simon Says a little bit later on. He calls himself that on social media. Occasionally, Ben, you just meet someone really, really interesting in the course of daily life. Because people always say to me, out of all the thousands of interviews you've done, who's been your favorite interview? And my answer is boring to them because they're expecting me to say someone that they'll know, and it's going to be celebrities, and they were much cooler than I thought, and it's never that. You sometimes meet somebody, and you think this person should be internationally or locally famous at very least, and famous for the right reasons. They've got an amazing energy. They've got some great takes and things. They're super smart. They are doing amazing work. I mean, occasionally this happens. And this Simon guy and I met last week in between all the public holidays. And I said to him, you got to get on the show. So he's on for us today. We're going to talk to the marketing manager of Lyft, the airline in South Africa. That's part of travel.co.za this morning. And I'm excited to talk to him because I've been on Lyft a couple of times. I like them. I'll admit right up front I'm a bit biased. But there's so much to talk about. I don't know.
Absolutely, that's my favorite domestic carrier because the planes feel new and the staff feel like they actually want you there.
Yeah, and they feel like they're excited to be there, and I think they've got a totally different take on marketing. But besides all of that, I don't know if you saw in the news this week, it was quite a big deal in America. There's an airline, a low-cost airline called Spirit in America, which is, I mean, it is so shitty. I can't remember if I've actually been on a Spirit plane, but they recently painted all of their planes yellow like New York taxis. And I would say that's a very good brand alignment because it felt like you got into a stinky old school taxi when you got onto Spirit Airlines. And they've just gone under. They've liquidated the company. And Spirit has this reputation for being the shittiest low-cost airline in America. It's so unpleasant to be on those planes. They are almost, I wouldn't say single-handedly, but they've major, let's say they are competitive in the making things shit in the air stakes. And they've done the most appalling job of, they've got also the passengers that go on those planes. Yeah. So they're no longer, but the passengers are so badly behaved. When you see those clips on social media of people in the cabin just losing their shit and starting to hit each other and like pulling each other's hair and throwing food all over the place and just generally behaving like fucking lunatics. This is what Spirit Airline became well known for. So they've gone out of business recently. Let's see. Spirit is our Mango. Well, I mean, Mango doesn't. I would welcome Mango back. I mean, I like the idea that there are, more options for the customer, for the client, the better. But there was this funny thing that happened in America. I won't go into too much detail about this because people couldn't really care in South Africa. But in America, one of the reasons that Spirit went out of business is because the Biden administration brought some kind of anti-competition lawsuit against them. They were going to be bought by JetBlue. And then, the government did what they should never do, and that is interfere in the market. And they basically pulled the rug out from under both of these airlines. I mean, JetBlue could have made Spirit a bit better. I just think, if you want to travel in a bus in the sky, there are choices for you, and those should be available. Just like if you want to travel a slightly better way in the sky, you should be able to choose that. The more choices people have, the better. But once government gets involved in things, it just makes the market unfair. It makes it all feel like they have got their hands in the till, and they usually do. So that's a lesson in that, I suppose, for all of us.
So what I want to know is around this whole air travel thing is like, okay, Straits of Hormuz, jet oil, all the petrol, gas, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, do they have a person who's constantly running the figures on this? I can just imagine like the air traffic controller of price, because air travel is very expensive now because of these shortages, right? Like 20-30% at least.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the things we'll talk to Hayden about later on from Lyft, because it's very your margins are so tight in airlines because you have to your primary lever, I suppose, in making money there is arbitrage on the fuel price, and aviation fuel is very expensive now. It's because of what's going on in the Middle East, but also because supply and demand are not as, let's just say, they're not as easy as the supply and demand for petrol for your car. There are only a few places that can supply it. Airports have to stock it. It's a difficult business, and I think that people need to be aware of why prices might have gone up. I know there are loads of complaints from South Africans about how much the flights to and from Cape Town have become. They're so much more expensive right now than they were maybe a year or two ago. And that's largely because of the aviation fuel. Anyway, so Judas is bringing up, and Judas has been very active on Instagram. You know, again, the comments section do a lot of the heavy lifting for us on the show. Find us interesting stuff. I'll get to what she sent me in a second. She says, did you manage to get the 12 Rand tickets this week? Because there were, I can't remember which airline did it, but there were 12 Rand tickets up for grabs this week. And, you know, then people all hop on and they try to buy the cheap tickets, and someone gets them. So it's not a scam. But I didn't see. I just saw something on social media about it, but I don't know which airline it was or anything else. Frankly, I don't want to go anywhere right now. It's cold, and I've got shit to do. American Airlines saved $40,000 in 1987 by eliminating one olive from each salad served in first class. See, these are the kinds of things you have to do in the airline business to make it make sense.
Well, you know, you used to always get the toothpaste, the socks, and the eye thingy. I don't remember those in the last sort of like couple of years that I've been flying.
Oh, hell no. No, definitely not. Big UFC fight this weekend, says Bitcoin But. Sorry, Ben. I went straight onto that. I didn't know you had more to say. Go on.
Yeah, big UFC fight, sure. Guys, the UFC is just, it's not what it used to be. I find it very difficult to give the necessary fucks towards that. And
really?
well, I mean, like, there's not a lot of depth with the quality anymore. These cards are just substandard. Dana White just doesn't give a shit. I mean, he's doing the big White House card for Donald's birthday. But if you just look at this card now, Sean Strickland, I think in his last 5 fights, he's had 3 title fights. And the guy lost twice to Drickus, and yet he still gets a title fight. There's not enough depth. It just feels off a bit. And then obviously there's going to be huge tensions between Kamzat and Strickland because they used to be in the same gym together. Kamzat kicks Strickland in the leg at the face-off. It just feels a bit contrived, you know. It's just maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, and like it takes so much to keep me loyal in sport. I think that's what it comes down to.
I think that's true for everybody. And these days, you're spoiled for choice, right? When there was one big game a weekend, people would all watch it, even if you were maybe not a fan of that particular player or team or whatever. Now, you're so spoiled for choice. You don't have to follow stuff that you're mediocre about. 2 things from that. And I told you about the one earlier this week. You mentioned the White House card that they're putting on, and Trump is very excited about the UFC. In fact, he did a launch thing this week for it. We saw Drickus the other night is the other thing. And it was good to see him again. He was out in Pretoria having a good time. Did you see him?
Yeah. Well, sorry, you broke up there for a second. Yeah, when we went to the opening of Amazon.
Yeah. And Drickus was there partying with his friends, which is awesome. He was full of beans, was nice to everybody. He's a really good guy. I have a lot of time for him. So I sent you a clip. I sent you a clip of well, I didn't send you a clip. I told you about it, and you watched the whole thing. I was sitting doing some work on, I think it was Tuesday night, and I had the YouTube on in the background with a press conference that Donald Trump gave at the White House. Bobby Kennedy's doing this thing to try and get kids to do exercise at schools and not be fat. because, America has this massive obesity problem. And they've got the presidential fitness test, which they're reintroducing to schools, which is a great idea. We should do it in this country too. And it was the funniest. Like, again, you don't have to like Donald Trump. It wasn't all politics. He was forced by the media to talk a lot about Iran, but it was so funny because you got Trump sitting at the desk in the Oval Office. Then you got Bobby Kennedy. You've got Pete Hegseth, the Minister of War, Secretary of War. You got a bunch of famous sports stars. There's Bryson DeChambeau, who you obviously covered at the Live Golf Tournament, and who's done like really, really well. And then Gary Player, our own Gary Player, is standing like right next to the desk because he and Trump are bosom buddies, right? And Gary has always been very vocal about how kids should do exercise and not be fat and not be useless. There we go. You can see the picture. By the way, that is Vince. What's the guy's name from the wrestling? That woman over there. That's his wife. That's his wife. And Dana White. That's Dana White's wife. She's like the secretary, isn't it? Betsy something? No. Okay, I'm wrong. Anyway, there's Bryson.
Maybe Vince McMahon.
Maybe Vince McMahon's wife. At the back there, you got Bryson, you got Bobby Kennedy, you got these kids standing in the front with Gary, and then you got this Thor guy who's apparently some like American footballer or something. I don't know what he does, but he looks like Thor. And Trump does this hilarious press briefing, but it's hilarious. So he's taking questions from the press, and he's talking to the kids while he's doing it. He's talking to Gary. And Gary comes on, and he was terrific. He's like, America's fighting the fight, and we've got to fight with them. And there's a silent war against America, and people are going to be grateful about living in a country where there's freedom. And Gary's right. I mean, I'm not going to argue with the dude. It's amazing. I mean, this guy, Bobby Kennedy, actually said this during the press conference. This Trump man, whether you like him or don't, has done more press conferences in like a week or two than most presidents ever did during their entire 4 years. He's so accessible. He'll talk to the media anytime they want. There used to be under, I think it was Trump's first term, or perhaps even George W. Bush, Barack Obama, who can remember, certainly under Biden. They were always complaining that they didn't get enough access to the president. And in the entire history of democratic leaders in countries, there's never been a person who has communicated more. When people say, the biggest problem in our relationship is that you don't communicate. This guy is on steroids with communication. And you got to give it to him. Like, he tells you what he thinks. He's got his Truth Social, which is going all the time. If you ever needed to know what the president is thinking, it is not a gamble anymore. It's not some dark room with a couple of people you'll never understand, some shadowy meeting that they're deciding the future of the world. Everything that Trump has done, you knew about because he said it somewhere in the last 50 years. And that is extraordinary. If you don't acknowledge that that's extraordinary, I don't know.
It's a great point. Obviously, the haters will say, "Oh, that's because he's attention-seeking," blah blah blah. But it's a really good point. So right now, Helen Ziller is exposing that Johannesburg's a toilet and it's been sabotaged and mismanaged. Where's Cyril? Why isn't Cyril saying, "Shit, Helen, let's meet at this building. Let's have a chat. Let's have a look"? Doesn't give a fuck. Zero.
No, he is in. They're still going on about the Pala Pala thing, which I never really cared about before, but because now I just think this president is so shit. Now I'm kind of hoping that whoever's going for him in this Pala Pala situation, and I know that the EFF are involved in it, and I know that there are a number of parties in parliament who've said this needs to be investigated. And I think it's before the Constitutional Court, or there's some kind of judgment that's due today. And I just think he is the worst communicator in the world at the moment, especially for us, because we're feeling it more because he's our president, and we just don't. When last did you hear from Cyril? When last did you get, You remember those stupid family meetings he called whenever the non-event that was COVID came along? He couldn't wait to be talking to us. He was always late for it, ironically, but he couldn't wait to get on TV and tell us, this is how you put the mask on, and this is, oh, where's my iPad? I've lost my iPad. Now you hardly hear from the man. He's got nothing to say. He's a mouthful of teeth.
Yeah. Look, it's just, it is sad that people have their prejudices and they'll just carry on with that stuff. But if you go into that press conference and just see what Gary and Trump are talking about, it is the most basic thing. How on earth did it fall away? The whole thing about kids doing exercise and fitness tests. If you don't exercise, your life's going to be a toilet like what Helen Zille is finding in Joburg right now. And the fact is that it's a cool thing to talk about. It's so fun. And there's Gary pouring his heart out. It's like, guys, I've traveled the entire world. I've talked to every president out there.
This guy traveled in our whole universe. I've traveled more than anyone else on earth. That's what he always tells people.
I always hate the saying respect your elders, because respect should always be earned. It shouldn't just be assumed.
Sure.
But Gary is 90 and he's lived a hell of a 90, okay? People might think he's a prick and all this kind of stuff. That's not important. He's traveled the world. He's done everything. He's been a statesman in his own right. He's done more for this country than Cyril and all those other oaks have ever done.
I agree.
And just to get his views, no matter how off-piste he goes sometimes, or he just forgets shit, to get his views on certain things is timeless. And this country doesn't, because he's an old white man. But America's like, jeepers, let's get Gary into the White House because he can inspire our kids. First world nation, America, are using Gary to say things. And what does this country do?
We just pretend he doesn't exist. It's bizarre. And, and I got to tell you, like, maybe I've mentioned this on the show before, but we bumped into Gary. We're on a family holiday. This is years ago. And he famously had a farm in the Karoo where he had horses and all the rest of it. And he was at this restaurant for breakfast that we all went to for breakfast that morning. And I remember him like commenting about one of the kids being much too fat. And he's like telling the parents, he's saying to the parents straight up, your child needs to do more exercise. I thought, what a rude old man for 5 seconds. And then straight after that, I thought, no, that's exactly what those parents need to hear. So this guy lives and breathes and eats that philosophy every day. He's not just pretending for the cameras. Everything that Gary does, I think he has more integrity. And I'm sure he's an egomaniac, and so is Trump. But these guys get things done. The narcissists, as so many people want to call them, these are the only people who get anything done in the world anymore. What are you going to get your HR manager to fix the problem? Please show me one HR department or HR manager on the face of the earth who's done a quarter of the things that any of the people who are labeled narcissists get done. Anyway,
it's a very good point. And then, sorry, guys, just to prove my initial point there, traditional Trump hater color, exactly, right on script. Should presidents give press conferences? This guy just wants to be on the screen. See, this is it. But I mean, the exact point you just made is that we need a president who can communicate. But your average person out there is like, Trump's a prick, therefore everything he does is bad. Orange man, bad. It's
usually women who say that guys are bad communicators. So I want to know what the excuse is, especially for the women in America who hate Trump so much, and there are lots of them, especially on the left. Here you finally got a man who's communicating with you. I don't think they like it very much, though. I mean, they tried to kill him again during the time we were off the air. Between the last show we did and this one, and I know these things go in and out of people's minds, like it is wild to me how quickly the news cycle moves now. Does anybody even remember any of the shit that we were talking about 3 weeks ago? Because it doesn't even stick. It used to be that a news story would hang around for a little bit, especially if it was a big story about something important. People have the attention span of a fruit fly now. It just goes away immediately. So there was a fourth attempt on Trump's life the other day. And Melania even got pissed off because perennial non-funny late night comedian Jimmy Kimmel was on his show and did like this very out of sorts or off-piste, tasteless joke about how she was a widow waiting to lose her husband. It was some crap joke. None of it was funny. And then she lost her stuff, which Melania doesn't very regularly do. She's very calm. She's very cool. And she was like, they must fire Jimmy. He's a piece of shit. She didn't say that, but something like that. Must fire Jimmy. Terrible. Kala says here, I'm not a Trump hater, Ben. I asked Garrett's opinion. I like presidents who are leaders and are great examples. I'm not saying that's not Trump. Yeah. Ben was the one who attacked you. I get it. You're allowed to defend yourself.
Changing your tune now, hey, Kala. Yeah, I see you. You forget. I read things. I've got receipts on this show. I'm not just shooting from the hip here, my friend.
So, there are a couple of things that are related to what we've just talked about now. And you say Gary's, how old is he? 92.
90. Just 90.
So I went to visit my oldest friend, Kate Turkington, yesterday. I had tea with her yesterday morning, and she's phenomenal. I don't need to tell you this. If you've seen any of the shows that she's been doing lately, she's just so busy. And she brought me this she came back from Tunisia, and she brought me this mosaic thing, which is very cute. Anyway, Kate does this thing every night, and maybe Gary does it too, because these 90-year-olds are wise, and we should listen to them. She does an amazing thing every night. She does 5 things before she goes to sleep at night. Have you got that clip, James? Play that for everybody, because in case you're feeling, I woke up, I got a bit of a sore shoulder, I got so much work, I don't want to do this today, let me go back to sleep, I'm depressed, whatever. Just remember, there are 90 and 91 and 92-year-olds in this world who are doing more than you today, and you have no excuse. Listen to what Kate does to wrap up her evening every night. James, is it playing? Don't hear it. So,
what am I grateful for today is best.
Okay.
What was my highlight? What did I learn? Was I kind? When did I feel most like myself?
5 things every day.
Every night before I go to sleep. Because like you, I have this monkey brain. So I like what the Buddhists call a monkey brain. My brain's going.
I sometimes think they're 4 monkeys. So she says to herself before she goes to sleep at night, what am I grateful for today? Was I kind? What did I learn? And when did I feel most like myself? I think those are all of them. But this is such a great way of kind of wrapping up your day every day. I also saw a great clip. I think it was on Wednesday on social media. Something came up. This dude who said he's got into the habit of saying yes, thank you when anything happens. So something terrible happens. Let's say his plans don't go as well as they could have. He has an idea of what he wants to do that day. It doesn't turn out that way. Something goes wrong. He goes, yes, thank you. And he said, just by doing that, you almost short circuit your brain and you turn a problem into something that you want to solve or something that's been given to you to solve. And it changes his whole outlook on the problem.
So additionally to that, I think it's Warren Buffett or one of those guys that popularized the thing that when one bad thing happens to you, straight away name 3 good things. So it's like, I've just spilt my coffee on my lap. And then you go, okay, but I'm just about to also have breakfast. I have a nice shirt. I have a nice wife, or I have a nice car. So you always name 3 things after a bad thing. It's like, I didn't get that job, but I still have a family. I'm going on holiday in 3 weeks. Today is sunny. And when you say those 3 things, it balances that thing out so quickly that it's just like,
Yeah, absolutely. And I love old people who are wise and who are still doing stuff. And, people like Gary and Kate and David Attenborough, who's just turned 100. They're just terrific. I hope that they get to live even longer, because the longer we've got them here, reminding us of what's really important, the better for all of us. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Gareth, I want to add just one more thing about Gary and just old people who are still talked about, relevant. Like we keep hearing this term relevance, and I think a lot it gets thrown into marketing muck. But you imagine being 90 and you still have a lust for life, as in you're still learning, you're still doing things, and people still want you around. You know how hard it is for these internet celebrities to last 6 months. You know how hard it is for influencers to influence for more than a year. Gary's 90, and the president of the United States of America finds him an integral feature to an initiative he's launching in the White House at 90. Like, that is a life to cherish. It's 90 years is such a body of work. It really is. And you get people who are like on top billing for 6 months, and they tried their hardest and they were for 6 months. You know, it's like all the time that you were on Idols or you've been around media, there's people who've put their heart and soul into something and nobody knows who they are anymore. Gary's still there. We've got to cherish these people, and also cherish people who just don't steal or break shit. That's another really interesting criteria in this country that we should put more time into. This guy's 75. He's never stolen or broken anything. Fuck. Give him the order of whatever.
Mapungubwe, yeah. I mean, while we're giving credit to 90-year-olds, because it's a hell of an achievement to live almost a century. And
that too.
You know, I look at Kate going off to Tunisia, and she was telling me all about these Roman ruins and the amazing. Apparently, Tunisia is something else. Very few tourists. It's cheap. The food is phenomenal. They make really nice coffee. The people are friendly. She said it's just incredible, and the amount of history there is next level. They've got the biggest intact sort of Roman theater anywhere in the world. Even in Europe,
right on the coast, right?
Yeah, well, somewhere there. I don't know the geography of Tunisia very well, but she said that there are just incredible places there, and you can travel around and see pretty much anything. While we're talking about 90-year-olds, though, I do think it's worth mentioning, because I interviewed him probably about 6 or 7 years ago. But the richest South African in the world is obviously Elon Musk, if you count just being born here. But the second richest South African in the world did a deal the other day in America where he sold his company for $29.1 billion. A man called Natie Kirsch, who was born in Potchefstroom. And Natie is, I mean, he's a businessman like no one I've ever met. I've been so lucky to have spent time with him. And that man at 94, I think he is now, has just sold his company for $29.1 billion in an unprecedented deal. Look, I mean, in America, huge deals are happening all the time. But if you think about how much that is in rands, he's richer now than Rupert. He's richer than Patrice. He's richer than the Oppenheimers. He's by far the richest South African outside of Elon Musk, which is just incredible.
An amazing legacy for, again, a huge body of work to stay in the game that long. And the thing is, like, these are real rewards, right? And again, these minds that they live amongst us, but it's these people who steal and hide money under their sofa who get to actually be in the decision making. It's weird.
Carl DeSantos wants me to teach you that the singular form of criteria is criterion, Ben, and that's from Pora Carl DeSantos. By the way, Carl DeSantos and the Poras, I got to ask you guys, last weekend, there were not one, but two Pora festivals. There was the new kind of Lusito Land, whatever that is. I think it's still called Lusito Land. And there was something called Pora Fest. Did you see this?
Was it actually called Pora Fest? Why have you not told me about this?
I was so kind of persuaded to go to it, but I saw one of my friends was doing some video there or whatever, and he said to me, no, he's going to Pora Fest. I said, oh, bullshit, there's no such thing. So he showed me the poster. There was a thing called Pora Fest, two competing Portuguese festivals over the same weekend in Joburg. There's a lot of Poras.
Pora Fest at the Ridgevlei Zoo Farm.
There we go. See, I wasn't making that up.
Okay, well, Carl, how was it?
Yeah, he will know. He was definitely there. Tell us about Pora Fest.
Can you imagine how much back hair was there?
And that's just on the chicks. I have to also draw your attention to something because I did something cool with my parents last weekend. You also have to kind of do things while your parents are still around with them. A friend of mine lost his dad about 4 or 5 years ago, and he said to me, like, if you like your parents, and I happen to, I think my parents are terrific. And we all decided to get in the car last Saturday and drive out to the Magaliesberg, where my first home was there. The first memory I have is of those Magaliesberg mountains. And they showed me the place where they first met, which was cool. We did this little road trip. I mean, it was a day trip. So we left at like 9 in the morning and we were back by about 3 in the afternoon. But it was cool. We went for breakfast, did all this stuff. Anyway, I see my dad yesterday and he says to me, "Oh, you got to see what Douglas Murray is saying about Keir Starmer." So I thought, Douglas Murray was in South Africa a little while ago, and I was very pleased and privileged to take him around to Cape Town and here in Joburg, and did a couple of interviews with him and some Q&A sessions with audiences. He's just terrific. He's easily one of the top 3 public intellectuals in the world right now. And like any public intellectual, you're not going to agree with everything he says, but the man is absolutely as smart as can be. He's as sharp as a nail. And Douglas Murray he does the occasional interview, but he doesn't have his own YouTube or do his own podcast or any of that stuff. I thought this was a bit odd. So I said to my dad, "Show me." So he goes onto his YouTube on his TV and all the rest of it. He puts this thing on, and the AI has got so good that look, it's not bad for Douglas because it's being done by some fan of his, obviously. But they've got the AI doing his voice, and it's his face, and it looks real. Like he's standing in front of a shelf or whatever, and he's talking about British politics. That's not unusual. Douglas would do that. But it's not him. This AI character does not blink. It does the thing that AI does, where it says it's not this, it's that, which always is a dead giveaway. If you're looking at it in written form, you get that long dash, for example. But it was so good that it took me a good minute and a half of watching this to figure out that this wasn't something that Douglas did to camera. It was not him. It was AI. And then there are so many clips going around at the moment. I saw one of Alec Hogg having a fight with Cyril Ramaphosa in an SABC news studio. But like the two of them get up and they like physically engage each other. Now, Alec Hogg spends most of the year, I think, in the UK, and
Cyril doesn't do interviews.
Cyril doesn't do interviews. And certainly wouldn't do one where he and Alec Hogg are on the same footing, because Cyril wouldn't want to be caught not being able to answer a question by somebody who actually knows what they're doing. And I want to get Alec on the show just to hear from him how he thinks this happened. But again, it was all bullshit that was generated by some Chinese content factory using AI. And the stuff looks real. And I'm telling you, if it took me a minute and a half to work out that this clip of Douglas was bullshit, and it's taking people like my parents by surprise, and there are going to be a lot of very dumb people in the world who believe everything they see. I saw a clip yesterday, Ben, and I want to know if you've seen this as well. There's this guy, some influencer who went to China, and he said he walked into a building and they're like 100 people on each floor, all creating AI slop and posting it, and then paying for ads to boost it. And it's all just bullshit. It's all made up clickbait, algorithm, brain rot slop. And it is everywhere. And people are buying this. I mean, listen, you kind of deserve it if this is what you're watching. To me, that's not a business model. That is a disinformation business.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's an actual tactic. They try and distract and rot. I think, our parents' generation is a massive, massive target of that. They're lapping all this crap up, and they don't have the ability to decipher what it is because they grew up trusting a TV. Like we grew up trusting a TV as well to a certain degree, but we've had to learn. Whereas with them, it's just like, oh, it's on TV, therefore it's true.
That's right.
But you've got to check. You've got to check sources. You can't just. It's hard work, guys. So rather just don't do it. Stay off the shit.
Carl DeSantos is standing up for himself here, Ben. You might want to respond to this. He says he was not at either of those Pora festivals. How much chorizo can one man eat before it becomes weird?
Carl, I'm sure one day we will meet, but you sound like a smug Pora. You're like, you're at the stage now where are you just too good to be a Pora? Because every time we bring up the Pora stuff, you're like, you're too highbrow Pora.
Let's just get back to China and the influencers. I don't like anything they're doing at the moment. I don't even like the influencers. I've never understood Mr. Beast. I've never really got why people love him. And I don't want to knock him because I don't know. I haven't watched enough of his stuff. But it just seems to me we are really catering to the lowest common denominator now. And everything is gamed to boost audiences, to have virality. Politicians have done this where they perform, but they don't actually do anything. And I know that loads and loads of people in particularly countries where maybe they have a good life and that they don't have to worry as much as those who are in survival mode. I know that in those countries, there are tons of people who just need entertainment. They need constant bullshit on a screen to
distraction,
just to amuse themselves because they've got no ambition for the day, for their life, for their relationships, for their business, for their family, their friends. They just want to exist and consume content, right? I know that's happening. So I'm not going to change humanity. I just feel you got to stay away from this shit as much as you can. It's not good for us. It's not doing anybody anything but harm, especially if you.
Gareth, it's a very good point you bring up there. So Mr. Beast, who, I mean, like, I find it quite pointless to like or dislike people when they don't know them. But he's a fine example of how everything is wrong and shitty nowadays because he's worked on data. So he and his mates, throughout all the time where he wasn't speaking to girls, traveling or playing sport or just getting drunk with his mates, he was gathering data on YouTube because he wanted to be a YouTube star. Okay, cool. That's what you want to do. And he became the biggest YouTube star. And his stuff is like watching Black Mirror. It's actually scary. It really is. I try to watch his stuff from time to time because I'm always wanting to know what's out there. But it's so contrived. It's like he's worked out every single aspect of what works. And that can be said for many things now, right? Why are movies so shit nowadays? It's because people have data. So streaming companies make so much money because they've got all this data around what engages people. So things become formulaic. So now we've lost film. Same with music. They've got all this data around certain generations liking certain things and what appeals to them. So that's data driven. When everything becomes data driven, it all becomes slop, essentially, because you are doing the wrong things. You don't have an idea and a passion. That's how all things used to get made, right? Whether it was skyscrapers, all these kind of things. It wasn't always on data. Like, you telling me that those the original skyscrapers in New York weren't built on ego, dick swinging, and like a vision, which is what people should be building stuff on, right? You don't build it on just spreadsheets and margins because then it looks like shit.
It's clip farming as well to an obsessive degree. I listened to the most interesting conversation between two comedians about how comedy shows, you'd go to a comedy show, and I love a great comedy show. We often have comedians on this show, and we've got very talented people in this country. I've never gone to a comedy show and thought this was absolutely shit from beginning to end. Because if it's shit, you still have something to laugh at, right? But now comedians won't do an hour's comedy show for the purposes of entertaining that audience. They're actually setting up cameras to make clips. They want to get 3 clips out of every 1 hour of comedy they do. And those go on to Instagram and TikTok and everywhere else. And the clip is more important than the comedy show. Now, I mean, look, you still have to do a good job, I suppose, but the same is true for podcasts. A show like what we're doing, and we've been doing podcasting now for 12 years. To me, it's about conversation and the comment section and the interesting people we can get in here, and the thoughts and ideas and revelations and insights that we can provide to each other. But for many people, a podcast is just a place where clips are generated, and then those clips are the most important part of the show. It to me, of course, that will drive up your numbers. You're going to game the algorithm. It's going to work better for you from a marketing point of view, and I get that. But it's almost like we've missed the point. People used to build cathedrals. We spoke about Sagrada Familia last time we did a show. That amazing cathedral they've just finished in Barcelona. I mean, cathedrals, that one took 100 and something years. But in the Middle Ages, people who started building a cathedral knew that they would die long before the opening ceremony happened. And yet they still started building them. It's that old adage of men who plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit in, but their grandchildren will. There's no long-term thinking going on. And I worry that the entertainment business is a race to the bottom. It is. As quickly as we can just get as many people, get it as viral as possible. It doesn't matter if in 15 minutes after that clip, nobody gives a shit anymore. No one's building for the long term.
No, it's just a one big circle jerk. There's no relationships anymore. It's just endless hand jobs until someone's arm falls off, basically. That's entertainment right now. So for some strange reason, I thought that was the only analogy I could come up with.
You alerted me to the fact that China is now implementing some strict regulations targeting social media influencers, requiring them to hold and provide proof of professional qualifications, such as university degrees or licenses, before discussing specialized, serious topics.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this. I kind of like this because it's weird. Like China's such a weird place, but sometimes it looks like they have a heart. And you think so much misinformation. I know, like I'm both guilty of this and caught up in this a lot of the time when I look at like human optimization and trying to get fitter and stronger and fight age and all that kind of. But we do get fed way too much shit that's just not correct. And it is harmful. And I think when I just said now that our parents' generation, they believe everything that was on a TV, we're at a stage now where we're influenced by everything on a phone. So it's much of a muchness. And there are so many people out there, like information used to be something shared because it was useful. Information is now used to weaponize selling something. And people are always trying to sell something. Oh. And I think we're at that horrible, like we've gone past the tipping point on that being something we should worry about. It's a massive problem. And China are actually coming out and saying, like, you're not qualified to talk about this, so therefore jail, or we'll send you to a gulag, or you're making Nikes for 3 years. And I kind of admire that.
Judas, who's in the comment section quite often, sent me a thing of good news. And I say good news, again, in inverted commas, because some of the stuff I'm not so sure is good news. I don't even know if this is generated by AI. Who does these days? I saw Claude launched Mythos the other day. Anthropic is the company. And then they suddenly pulled it off the market because it was hacking every system, every operating system, in ways that they had not foreseen. And suddenly people were shitting themselves. So it's now at that point, ladies and gentlemen, we are officially entering the age where there is no way you can predict the outcome once AI is let loose to do its thing. And you think that the Straits of Hormuz are a problem. You think that China's summit with America, speaking of China, which is happening shortly, that's Trump and Xi getting together to discuss the future of the world economy. Yes, those things are all important, but they pale into insignificance when you compare it to the fact that there is now the kind of AI technology. And just remember this, by the way, that whatever we know and we're using in civilian life, the military have got at least a 2-year advantage on that, because they are in cahoots with these guys who are developing everything at the cutting edge. You know that the military are implementing this stuff like 2 years ago already. So imagine where it's going. It's something else. on that note, I wanted to show you Judas's good news. So let's just show people a couple of these things. Some of these are great stories, and I've verified one or two of them. Some of them I'm not even sure are true, and I'll tell you what's what. So here we go. First one. Finland has become the happiest country in the world for the 9th year in a row. Look at who runs it. And there's a couple of young girls and some old bags.
That's AI.
I think that's AI. I don't know that Finland is entirely run by women. I don't know that there's a civilization in all of human history that was entirely run by women, but I'm willing to be corrected. I think that is slop. I'm going to say fake. Okay, so that's probably not true. But Finland is a happier country. By the way, Canada has slid down the rankings. Canada always used to be one of the happiest countries in the world. It has slid right the way down. They're in the stakes with countries like Mexico and Colombia. They're no longer in the top 10. So sorry, Canada. That's very bad news for you and for everybody who lives in Canada and thinks somehow things are better there. You're no longer one of the happiest countries. So Finland may be the happiest country. I don't know who's running it, but it's not those 3 chicks at the top. I can promise you that. Women in politics don't look like that very often. China has banned OnlyFans, calling it a Western disease that leads to societal decline and poses a threat to public order. I think that's true. Yeah. And you know what? Again, Ben, to your point earlier, China, sometimes, even a broken clock gets it right twice a day. China gets it right more than that.
Did you just say broken crock?
Broken cock, yeah. Even a broken cock gets it right twice a day.
Broken crock.
A crock. Yeah. All right, so China has banned OnlyFans. I think that's a good move.
Can we just go back one? There's an actual thing. There's an actual thing where like young girls and women who aren't just born to terrible parents and trailers, but it's an actual aspirational thing now that they can only think about OnlyFans modeling as an actual career. So it used to be influencers, and now when people look at OnlyFans, they go, "Yeah, I want to be an OnlyFans model." Before they even consider anything else, that's actually becoming a thing now. I watched this whole YouTube video around this the other day. It's like it's an absolute disease of society when that becomes a career option.
Yeah, but what is how far is the leap from influencer to OnlyFans model? It's not a huge amount of territory between the two, right? There's very little daylight between those two things.
It's maybe a question of confidence and resource.
Yeah,
because you get influencers who have a certain level of confidence, but then you get influencers who have great cannons and more confidence, and then they'll go to OnlyFans. Same thing, kind of, really. Hashtag these cannons.
Yeah, these cannons. Let's go to the next one. Some good news from Judas here. South Korea has shut down the dog meat market, which has helped save about 80,000 dogs a year. Okay, so this is true. I checked it out, and it is true. But Jesus, how long did it take you, South Korea? Dog meat in 2026? Guys, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I mean, that's outrageous. When a country pats themselves on the back for doing just what is sensible, I don't give them a whole lot of credit.
So there's another thing that should happen here, right? So there's initiative of closing down the dog meat market. Great. Now there should be an initiative of how dogs can enhance family life, how kids should grow up with dogs. So all these dogs need homes, right? And in future, there'll be more dogs that aren't getting eaten. They need a part in society. The next initiative is showing, like, kids should grow up with pets. It teaches them a certain amount of compassion and softness, and it also, like, some kids are just shitty and can't make friends. But if they've got a dog to come home to, at least they've got something.
And it teaches you responsibility because you got to feed the dog, you got to look after it, you got to make sure that it's healthy. There's this stuff you have to do. If you don't start off with a plant, and then you go to a pet, and then you can eventually perhaps become a human adult with children.
It's a hell of a change in the curriculum, going from eating dogs to feeding dogs.
Uno reverse card. After repeated job rejections, 4 friends with Down syndrome in Argentina started a pizza business that now employs 23 others like them.
Nice.
Yeah, it's heartwarming, but I don't think it's true. Because Down syndrome people can't run a business. They can't. They just can't. And I don't think the pizzas are that great. I mean, just look at Look at those people in the picture. People are going to say I'm mean. If I walk into a restaurant, everyone in there's got fucking Down syndrome. I know my order's going to be screwed up. I just know they're going to be happy, and they'll be very happy to see you, and you'll be happy to see them, but they're not going to get the orders right. The money's going to be wrong. Oh, to have it for free. No. It's a bad business model. I don't think this is good news at all. Not for the people.
It's just like Darnies and Brownies in Cape Town, I think it was called. Sorry, James, can we just go back one slide? So, I mean, absolutely embrace it, but you do need a bit of diversity in business management here. But I mean, it becomes a thing, right? Then you become seen as the only restaurant that offers a down dish pizza. So you can embrace that.
Yeah. From a marketing point of view, it has short-term cutesy value, but I don't see this working as a business. Then there's another nice pet story. In Thailand, recycled billboards become shelters to save stray dogs. I don't know if this is true. I couldn't find anything to back this up. So it could be either, but nice. I mean, it's one of those feel-good things. Most people who are not psychopaths in the world don't hate animals, and they like to see things like this. So even if it's not true and it makes you happy, it's doing its job. What's the next one? Global extreme poverty has fallen to the lowest level in history, making millions rise out of misery. This is amazingly true. And it is a little-known fact that people are just oblivious to. You know, I see even people I love and respect, people who seem to know quite a lot about what's going on around them, they are oblivious to the fact that we are living at a time where there are less absolutely impoverished people in the world than ever before, despite the fact that there are more people on the planet than there've ever been. It is a phenomenon that we should be very, very pleased about. I think people ought to be more excited about the fact that we have plucked as a species, humans, we've plucked more people out of extreme poverty than at any other time, and for all the right reasons, and largely due to capitalism and free markets and productivity and efficiency and technology. Like, take a bow, humanity. This is a valuable thing you've done. Anything to say about that, Ben?
No.
Okay, well, you don't care about poverty. Italy
it's
became the first.
It's hard to care about something that's so widespread, and it's a mindset that gets perpetuated in so many places, and also gets leveraged by governments. So I'm sorry, I know that sounds uncompassionate or incompassionate.
I'm telling you, we need to be excited about that. That is a big deal.
Yeah, everything you said, I agree with. It's just that's not how a lot of African countries' governments work. They need poverty, they need all these things, and they perpetuate it.
Well,
sorry, different conversation, please.
But you're not wrong. Like, politicians will use everything to kind of drive division. I don't know if you've seen. This is a bit of an aside, but it needs mentioning today. There is an enormous amount of xenophobia, a dangerous xenophobia going on at the moment. There are loads of people in South Africa that shouldn't be here, illegal immigrants and so on, that don't have any documents. They've crossed the border illegally. They are maybe doing bad things. But there's a sudden swell, a really dangerous underbelly that's developed of massive amounts of just pure ugly hatred. And I know where it comes from, and I'm not blaming anybody. And I get it that there are loads of South Africans who are unemployed, and they see other people from other countries who are not meant to be here because they don't have the papers and they haven't gone through the process, taking advantage of our healthcare services and our education services and many other things. And I get it. It pisses me off too. But there seems to be this, it comes up from time to time when people are unhappy. And we have lots of unhappy people in this country. Let me move back to the good news. Italy has become the first country to recognize sick pets as a reason for paid emergency leave. It's a true story, but I don't know if I'm excited about this. As much as we were talking about how good pets are earlier, I think this is going to be abused by really shitty people who want to take time off work and are now going to use their pets as the excuse. If someone said to me, I didn't come to work today because my cat was sick, I would look at them askance. I've got to be honest with you. And I don't know if it's a good idea for the government to give you the opportunity to take off a whole lot of days because your pet is sick. Not my idea of a good news story, but maybe you disagree.
Yeah, see, the universal truth here is that people abuse things, but people with shitty kids also abuse things. People make up religious holidays. People are going to be people here. I think you get those people who don't have kids, who aren't going to cost you maternity leaves. Just thinking as an employer here, just thinking as a data-driven person who employs people. It's the absolute dream if you can get someone who's fantastically professional and doesn't want children, because they're not going to be away as much. So if this person has a cat they really love, that to me just sounds like a better compromise. If we're looking at this in a pure analytical sense. Yeah, and unfortunately, pets do get sick, but they need a vet visit, and they need these things. But it also comes back to look, government should never be involved in most things, Gareth. We'll always agree on this. If you work for a place and people know you and they go, okay, there's Susan, she's got 3 French terriers, whatever. It should be a personal relationship to know that Susan's not pulling the piss. And if her dog now has rabies, she might need a day or 2.
Yeah. But I don't want the government making it a rule. Anyway, have we got any more of these, James? Okay. Again, just like South Korea banning the dog meat market, the president of the Philippines has banned child marriage. What, only now? Now, guys? It's 2026, and what? Yesterday it was okay to marry a 12-year-old. Now it's not. Again, good news, but inverted commas, right? I don't know if that's so great. So there we go, Judas. We've given you about a 5 out of 10 on that, but we'll keep it coming. We'll have to see. Carl DeSantos says, a staff member of mine came to me crying last week because her dog is dying, so she needs to go on leave. My grandparents came here on a fucking boat with nothing. How did we get here? Put the dog down. So there's some of that poorer energy from Carl. Yeah,
it's that poorer energy. So solid.
James is telling me that Hayden is on the line. I want to go to him in a second. But just before that, I want you to see this. It's time to beat up on Gen Z. We don't do this often enough on the show. I love it. James is obviously Gen Z. A lot of people in the audience are too. But let's just beat up on them for a second. Talking about this thing with Carl and his staff member who was crying, just watch this. And then I'd like your reaction, Ben, and you can tell us in the comments section what you think of this. Go ahead and play that Gen Z clip, James, and then defend yourself.
Today, Ali, do you want to kick us off with the agenda and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You're running the meeting agenda. Do you mind just turning your camera on for us?
Yes. It's just hard because I just feel like I know the weekends are like supposed to like kind of like give us a reset for the week, but instead I just like feel like every weekend just kind of like reminds me of like how good life is when I don't have to come to work. and so then like Mondays are just really hard. And I've been trying to figure out how I can maybe like monetize social media so I don't have to come on anymore, and it's just hard. And it's just
oh my God. James, defend your generation. Explain that, because this is an actual clip from a meeting with a whole bunch of Gen Zs, and that chick is crying, and she says she wants to become a social media influencer rather than work. This is your generation, James. Stand up for them. Come on. Defend this shit.
Guys, we just have a lot of feelings, That's all. Oh. We just have feelings, and the world revolves around feelings, I want people to feel sorry for us.
I got feelings too. My feelings are anger and rage and the desire to rush at someone with something sharp. It's unbelievable. This is what some people have to put up with in their workplace because these guys need an emotional day off. You talk about taking a day off to sort out your sick pets, Ben. There are people in companies in America and even in South Africa, there's some of the companies that do this, where you can take a mental wellness day just because you're not feeling so great that morning. You know, your antidepressants didn't kick in properly, and you're like, well, I just can't handle Julie and the rest of the girls at the office, so I'm just going to need this duvet day, mental health day. Take it off.
Duvet day.
That's the thing. Your people, James.
Why are you laughing, James? You've used that sentence before. Unironically.
A duvet day. Guys, I cry for other reasons, like Liverpool losing a lot. Those are the reasons I cry.
That is a reason to cry. Listen, Ben, just quickly, I know, Hayden, I'm sorry, I'm coming to you now, dude. I really want to talk to Hayden. He's with Lyft, and he's a smart dude, and he can tell us lots of answers to questions I've had for the longest time. But before we get to that, just quickly, Ben, there are two things I need to ask you about. First of all, you haven't been able to play golf because of all this goddamn rain. And it's cold now, so it's going to become less pleasant. But you also, you have some things to be pleased with from an Arsenal point of view, don't you?
I do, Gareth. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to actually lobby for the month of April to be taken out of the calendar so that as humans, we can only have 11 months. Because Arsenal can't play football in April, but the other months, they're very good. So May the 30th, they'll be taking on PSG in the Champions League final. Domestically in England, they'll be playing 3 more games where they currently have a lead over Man City, who need to play 4 more, and that FA Cup waste of time. So yeah, Gareth, they've got the inside track for a fantastic season. And if they win the Champions League this year, fun fact, the trophy that they'll win will be golden. It'll be solid gold, because if they win on the 30th of May, they'll be the only team to have ever gone unbeaten in the Champions League. They've currently conceded all of 6 goals in the extended format of Champions League football. So if they win that, then they win the golden trophy. And yes, James, I know what you're going to say, but they need to win it. And it's all hearsay. They need to win it, blah, blah, blah. Cool. But you got to live in the moment, James. I think you cry a lot because you're still living in last season. So maybe put that in your vape and chug on it.
All right, James, don't cry.
That's made me want to have a duvet day, guys. I'm getting back in bed.
All right. I got Simon joining us just now, but I want to get to Hayden. Ben, have an awesome weekend. I hope you get some golf in, and we'll catch up next week.
Gareth, I'm going to Leopard Creek on Tuesday, so I'm going to make up for it. Yeah,
that is very nice. You played there before?
Okay. Long time ago, not since they've returfed it and changed it a bit. And I'm also playing Kambaku, where they just grabbed that crocodile out of the river for eating that oak.
Yes, that was something else. Did you see the pictures of when they sliced the croc open and there was that guy's hand like this?
Gareth, I've been fascinated by that story all week. It really is. It's just this country we live in. So we'll have a proper catch up with that next week.
Unbelievable. All right. Thank you, Ben. Okay.
Right,
it is time, ladies and gentlemen. We all love to talk about travel on this show. Overseas travel, local travel. We love going to interesting places, meeting interesting people. And that is one of the reasons I'm thrilled every couple of days to bring you something from travel.co.za. You can go and check out some of their amazing destinations and their offers on the website. You can find out all you need to know by heading to travel.co.za. And as a part of travel.co.za and the window seat this morning, we actually get to hop on with Lyft Airlines. Ben said earlier, Lyft are his favorite local carrier. I can pretty much say the same. I've always enjoyed the experience. They seem to have really cool staff. They seem to be thinking very much of the future. The people who run it seem to be in charge of stuff and know what they're up to. And I'm thrilled today to have Hayden Henning on, who is the marketing manager for Lyft Airlines. So Hayden, welcome to the show. Nice to see you, man.
How's it, Gareth? Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, cool. You guys really are doing an awesome job. And I know it's tough out there because, you know, jet fuel is more expensive than it's been in a long time, and people complaining about that. That's obviously not your fault. But also in the local airline market, it's competitive, despite the fact that we've seen a couple of airlines come and go over the years. Lyft is a new kid on the block by comparison with some of them. What's that competition like from the inside?
Can you believe that we've already been around for 5 years, since the end of 2020, smack bam middle of COVID, and here we are.
Yeah, congrats. That's amazing.
Thank you. So the South African airline industry, definitely competitive, but honestly, it's a good thing. Travelers are making us a little bit sharper. We have to be on our game every day, and it's fun for us. But at Lyft, we've never really tried to compete purely just on trying to be the cheapest airline. Our focus has always been around the experience, our flexibility, and just building a brand that people actually want to engage with. So I think, travelers will remember today everything more than just the ticket price. So how easy was it to book? How easy was it to change the flight? Was it a nightmare or not? How the cabin crew made them feel on board, and whether the brand, I guess, just is relatable with the traveler. So we've tried to create this airline that is more human and less transactional. And that's why we do things a little bit differently, whether it's the onboard partnerships, our social media tone.
I love that. I mean, everybody's trying to make everything more AI, more digital, more virtual, more unreal. And you guys you're bringing the humans back, which I absolutely love. I see Brian Kitchen in the comments, who really, I didn't even know Brian woke up this early, but he says, how's it, Hayden? Leads a great marketing team. Yes, you do. Okay, so
morning, Brian.
Do you think, you would know the details around this. Do you think that South Africans choose their airline based on price, loyalty? What is the real movement, the motivation behind why people choose airline X or airline Y?
The reality is that price is always going to matter, right? And especially in our country where people are very, very value conscious right now. So that definitely plays a part. But I think that loyalty and brand trust are becoming important again, which is great. But what I mean when I say loyalty, I'm not talking specifically about a points program or trying to earn miles. It's coming from an experience and that emotional connection. So if a traveler has a great flight, an easy booking process, good service, and they feel connected to the brand, then it's more than likely that they're going to come back. And that's something that we focused really heavily on at Lyft. So we want our travelers to feel like they're choosing us because they genuinely like flying with us. And not just because we happen to be the cheapest on the day when they book their ticket.
So obviously another big difference, and I've noticed this about you guys from day one, is that you seem to have like a younger, more optimistic outlook on things. A lot of older airlines, they tend to be a bit stodgy and kind of predictable, and they're doing the same old. And despite the fact that I attacked James just before you came on for being in Gen Z, and I mean, you look like you were only born a decade or two ago, Hayden. So whatever you're doing there, keep doing it. What do you do to keep it kind of current and young and vital? Because that's important, right?
We chat to the Gen Zs. No, I think airlines traditionally speak very corporate, and the reality is that people don't connect with that anymore. It's not like it used to be. So, and especially the younger audiences who are starting to have the buying power and are soon going to have the buying power. But at the end of the day, our strategy at Lyft is really just to make Lyft feel more human, more culturally relevant, more conversational, but still protecting the credibility and professionalism that would be expected of an airline brand. So we spend a lot of time trying to understand the latest internet trends, culture, human, and how people communicate. And at Lyft, the goal is never to chase the new trends for the sake of it, but to rather participate in a culture in a way that feels very authentic to the country and to our brand itself.
So I'm not going to go on a diatribe about how flying in a plane generally all over the world has become worse. And this doesn't apply to Lyft, but I just feel like very often you're just in a bus in the sky, and it's cost cutting and all that kind of thing. I saw in the news, and maybe you saw this too, I'm sure you've been acutely aware of it, Spirit Airlines in the US has just gone under. They didn't have a great reputation, by the way. They had the worst passengers in all of aviation history. And can I tell you something else? And I want to stand up for you for a second and for airlines in general. Often, the airline is judged by the quality of its customers. And if your customers are terrible assholes who behave badly in airports and on planes, the airline somehow gets the blame for that, which seems to me grossly unfair. I've traveled on very good airlines sometimes with terrific cabin crew and awesome service, and the ticket price was great, and I felt like I was winning. And then some slob behaves really badly on the plane. It would be ridiculous, but this is what people do, to blame the airline for that slob, right?
It would be ridiculous. And I think, especially if we hone into South Africa specifically, there's 5 of us up there as the carriers. And, at the end of the day, all of our goals is to get everyone from A to B. So we are going to have an array of passengers on our flight. But
why don't you just say why don't you just say you've got the best passengers and let the others take the flak for all the shitty people?
We do have the best passengers. No, it's incredible. It's amazing. Yeah, let's move on to the next question. No, we genuinely do have the best passengers. We love our passengers, and we're still a young airline, right? There's still a lot of people out in our country who haven't had the opportunity to fly post-COVID. So we are constantly welcoming new passengers every single day, and it's just such an incredible feeling that we give.
Yeah, you don't want too many of the poor. The poor can ruin anything. You didn't say that, I said it. But here's something else I want to ask you quickly. You're obviously very tuned in. Your marketing is excellent, as Brian said just now in the comments. But when you watch these clips, as I do, I went down a rabbit hole the other day of particularly Americans on these planes and the things they get up to. Even you, who knows the industry, and you've probably seen plenty of stuff, you've got to be astonished at some of the things people have done in America on Spirit Airlines and other crappy airlines. They are out of control. Some of these passengers, I mean, I'm like, South Africans are extraordinarily well-mannered and well-behaved by comparison, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that statement for sure. I've also seen some of those clips. We've probably watched the same videos, and it's now I'm like, is this an AI video? Could this really have happened? Would someone do this? No, but I think then we're very lucky if we had to literally compare our passengers in South Africa to a different country.
Right. I mean, my biggest complaint has always been like, a baby, for example, somewhere on the plane. But the parents mostly try to keep, and I understand, like having to travel with a kid, the ears are popping because the altitude and all that kind of thing. So that's the worst I've had to put up with in real life. And then I watch these American clips, and I'm like, I'm just going to stop complaining when like there's some kid in row 26 who's having a cry because its ears are popping. You guys, you have to run a really tight ship, and I don't know that many of us as passengers really understand this. We mentioned at the start of this interview that jet fuel is very expensive right now, and supply and demand all over the world is a challenge. You run airlines on very tight margins, and that is why so many of them go through periods of boom and bust. And it's hard this is why I'm saying it's worth celebrating 5 years in the sky for Lyft. Just explain so that maybe people can get a little bit of insight into how tightly managed all of that stuff has to be to keep that plane in the sky and to keep the operation in business.
Yeah. I mean, you can imagine the airline industry, it purely just revolves around epic teamwork. There are so many people behind the scenes to just make one flight take off. And then when you've got quite a few flights a day, your team are working really hard to make sure that there's no hiccups, and they're trying their absolute best to make sure that a traveler's journey is comfortable and safe and on time. So yeah, the airline industry is incredibly operationally sensitive. But I would think that one of the biggest challenges that passengers maybe don't realize that is, connected into every part of the airline operation is even something like a delay. So behind the scenes, like I said, there's a huge chain involving aircraft scheduling, crew duty hours, airport slot time, weather, air traffic control, catering, baggage handling. The list goes on and on and on and on. And those are all working simultaneously, not only in the city from where you're departing, but then, of course, in the receiving city. So therefore, across the country for us. So just one small disruption in a city can have a knock-on effect across the entire network within just a few hours. So I think, you're right. The airline industry is incredibly sensitive. And at the end of the day, millions of passengers are still arriving safely and efficiently every single year. So it's a huge amount of coordination that is happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, again, I think you guys are doing an excellent job, and I'm pleased that we finally had you on the show, because we talk about travel so much, and air travel seems to still occupy a very big space in people's imagination, which is terrific. And it's a weird thing too that you have to cater for, because somehow the standards people expect from an airline are far higher than the standards they expect from other companies that you could perhaps compare them with, other service companies, businesses that deliver a service to people. If someone isn't, let's say somebody from Boksburg is going on their first flight to East London, or Kugompo as people call it now, and they fly on an airline for the first time. For some reason in their head, they think they're the princess and they need to be treated like, I don't know, the royal family. They want the red carpet pulled out. They want someone saying good morning, ma'am or sir. They want someone to help them put their bag, which is always oversized, into the overhead luggage thing. Somehow one tiny little thing goes wrong, and the little princess starts feeling like they deserve to speak to the manager. How do you deal with that stuff? Because it happens, right? And you gotta deal with passengers. And some of them think they're, I don't know, walk on water or something.
It happens. It happens more than one would think. At the end of the day, we are providing a service, and that's getting you from A to B and as safely and efficiently as possible. And that's our absolute goal at the end of the day, right? So we will do everything in our power to do that. And it's customer service. We will, have to roll out the red carpet where necessary, but not because we have to, but it's because we want to. We want people to feel something different. I think travelers specifically in South Africa might have an expectation of what air travel should be, or what they want it to be. And I think we're doing a great job at bringing back what it used to be. And that's really just about being relatable and having fun. And I think that's actually the key word at the end of the day, right? We are wanting to be relatable to the everyday passenger. It's so important for us behind the scenes of the airline to understand the modern traveler and their needs and wants, as it's evolved very quickly, and providing that service.
Yeah, thank you for answering all of my awkward questions. But I think these are things that most of the people who fly with you or any other airline often want to ask. And you didn't dodge any of them, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Well, listen, happy birthday to Lyft, 5 years. And we hope to continue using you guys for many, many years to come. Go to travel.co.za, everybody. Make your dream holiday a reality, and fly with Lyft. If you haven't done it before, it's a very, very worthwhile experience. They're great. The people there are great. And Hayden obviously running a very good ship there. Thank you, dude.
Thanks, Gareth. Appreciate it.
Nice to see you. Cool. Good stuff. So that is travel.co.za for today. And the window seat, I'm very, very excited to bring on somebody who, I don't even know how to describe this guy. He's a man of many talents, and he does a ton of stuff. Let me explain first. Let's bring him on, and then I'll explain. Simon Phillips. How are you, Simon?
Gaza, I am so well, brother. It is Friday, and myself and your champion backstage there, James, aka Jeeves, we were just chatting and saying, hey, man, life is for the living. So we're going to change atmospheres and have a lacquer chat, my brother.
I'm gonna say what I said when I met you for the first time last week. That is a magnificent beard that you have there. How long have you been cultivating that for?
Gareth, yeah, it makes up a lot of deficiencies in my life. I'm joking. Lack of hair on my head for one. No, I've got a terrible cleft chin here. No, Gareth, this is what I think. What are you hiding under there? Now, Geza, I've been here about 2 years. I must say, I can't grow my carbs. I struggle there. But facial hair, there must be a porter gene somewhere, bro, because yeah, it pumps.
Well, we were talking about the poras earlier, so Carl will be thrilled in the comment section this morning that you keep bringing up poras. But I just got to explain to people how we met, because this is hilarious. So I posted a thing probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago where I said there was a dude in the gym where I saw this, it's sort of an older man. He's probably in his 50s or 60s. He was standing at the basin in the gym, in the locker rooms. He was shaving his balls with a razor, and then he started shaving his head with the same razor. And I was horrified by this. You should do that at home. And you send me this message, which, I mean, I normally don't respond to these things, but you said something really funny, and you were like, well, I have equipment for shaving your balls that is much better than what that guy was using. First of all, which is hilarious, but you just tell them about your business where you sell the ball trimmer, because you showed me this thing, you gave me one, and it's quite a work of art. It's high technology, and it's very clever marketing. And you know what? You took the chance, and then we met as a result of that. I heard your story, and now look at us. We're talking on the show. So clearly, ball trimming was very much the excuse to get to have you on the show.
Yeah, Geza, yeah. Well, you've got one of the shavers, so I think the proof is in the pudding. You'll be up next.
I haven't just for the record, by the way, I haven't tried using it yet, but I will report back to you as soon as I have.
Come on, Geza, you've got Amazon on Saturday, bro. You've got to get with it, my friend. Yeah, Geza, I'm one step ahead here, man. I prepare for these things, man. Journalist meets journalist. Now, Geza, myself and my partner Walter, he's in the Cape. Crazy, awesome entrepreneur story. He was a QS. He had a spark moment, like I said to James earlier. Let's change the world. And so he looked at leaving the professional realm, and he started making head shaves. So check this little bad boy. It's a quick fun. 30 seconds. My little bald head is shaved. We've got a magnet in there. It sucks up there. You can be on your way to a wedding or a gig or to Amazon, and not one hair will fall in your lap. From there, we went to beard shavers, and I mean, I've been through all the brands with my bald head and big beard. And this little bad boy, you dial it. It's 70 odd hours of shave time, waterproof. And the funny thing is, Geza, is that every single event that I did promoting it, and I can say this out loud, from flipping Bucky's Buerta to AB de Villiers to Joe Black to Umpy, they've all got our stuff. And every guy would whisper secretly, listen, can I shave the kanatas met hierdie ding? And so instead of saying yes you can, we said we'll make you one. So we then. But you haven't
told us the name. I mean, you got to. Where can people get it? And grooming. Let's just say, like, everybody's talking about the looks maxing movement at the moment, where these guys like clavicular breaking their own jaws so they can get a better jawline. I would say that you would probably have advised the idiot to just rather grow a beard. But
grow a beard,
tell us. Like, people want to look good, they want to feel good, they want to groom themselves properly. Nobody wants to meet some hairy chimpanzee, and then you're not going to fall in love with someone who doesn't care about the way they look or smell, or So what is the stuff? Where can we get it?
So guys, here it is. Came prepared. It's Escape Gear. So Escape Gear, that's our head shaver. Sexy packaging, amazing box. Honestly, premium product. So escapegear.co.za. We will deliver within 3 days anywhere in the country. We've got an amazing sort of quality system, and we want to take the market by storm. We're looking at going in-house into a few major sort of shops in the next month. And the world is our oyster, man. And we really just found this a niche. We're men for men. We might look at a ladies' range one day, but for now we're just backing the brothers. And Escape Gear for the win, man. We're changing the world one facial hair at a time.
I love it. Wen's in the comments says, my hubby bought Escape Gear. This brand is excellent. I got to tell you, it really is. You showed me the stuff the other day, and I was blown away by the quality of it, because so much of the stuff people are selling online these days, you don't know until you've seen it, until you hold it in your hand. I mean, this is really good shit. So let's just move apart. We'll move away from that for a second. If anybody has any questions about Escape Gear, you can send your emails or your comments. We'll put all the stuff for Simon in the description, and then you can get hold of him. Anyway, It's great stuff, and I will vouch for that. Let's just talk quickly about your life, because when we were talking and I got to hear your story, I was blown away by this. I mean, for God's sake, you lived in the commentary box of a sports ground for 2 years because you were homeless, and we'll get to that story in a second. But you have since then become the Chief Inspiration Officer for the Blue Bulls in Pretoria, the rugby team. That's one of your jobs. You have a whole bunch of jobs. Just tell us the story of how you got to be the Chief Inspiration Officer for the Blue Bulls.
Yo, Gaza. So yeah, in a nutshell, a Zimbo, born and raised, love the country. And then just circumstances in the country, forced us to make a plan and look south. And I went to the Technikon, Pretoria. Had never heard a word of Afrikaans in my life. So I rocked up at Lozart Mans Korshuis. I can say it well now. And 300 Afrikaners, 5 black guys, 1 Soti, myself. And my nickname was Mugabe. I mean, go figure, my bynaam. And hated it. I hated the experience. It was, like I spoke at Uppies the other day and I said, like I told you guys at the gym, totally bullied, but not Gen Z bullying. I got a proper whacking, So I couldn't stand Pretoria. And like I said, listen, God, 4 things. I'll never come back to this godforsaken city in my life. Number 2, I couldn't stand the Blue Bulls. I would be painted blue. I was never really allowed to go to Loftus. It was very ostracized, I believe is the word. And number 3, Afrikaans girls gave me more bats, like offering AB de Villiers on the charge. And number 4, Afrikaans music was just the worst thing in my mind, the cherry on top. So number 1, I've never left Pretoria for over 20 years. I worked very closely with wonderful people at the Blue Bulls company. I married Hester Kamina Meyer Barnard, who was the Hoofmeisie of Menlo Park and the junior burgemeester of Pretoria. And then, I mean, the best man at my wedding was Robbie Wessels, and I'm working with Joe Black with our beard company, Scape Gear. So everything that I said no to, I think the Lord just said, hold my aroma coffee and watch me work. And I think that's the thing, guys.
Well, the one thing that's still true is that most Afrikaans music is cuck. That's still true.
They've got to push hard. They've got to push hard.
But now explain why you ended up being homeless, because you came from Zim. It was a tough place to be just a short while ago. And I know you've just got back from there now where you're doing some work there as well. But explain to people how you had no money and you were too proud to tell your parents that you were going to come and like try and eke a living out of them because they also had to leave Zim. So you just said, I got this hockey scholarship, but you didn't have a hockey scholarship. You had nothing.
Yeah, Gareth, and I think that's I mean, on a Friday, let's get the skin and bones. Gareth, I've lived a life of smoke and mirrors. I've lied to my family. I've lied in many parts of my life. And I mean, we meet each other at our point of honesty, like we said the other day. Otherwise, we're just pandering to what people want to hear. And and there's valleys and mountaintops in everyone's lives. And I never embraced the valleys. I never embraced the hurt. I was never truthful. I wanted to always people please. Great intention, terrible outcome. So I want to be people please my folks. I don't want to be a loss, a burden on you guys financially. And I carried that narrative my whole life. And like we were saying the other day when we chatted, no one sets out, and just for the audience out there, massive cocaine addiction many years ago, worked in strip clubs, awful story. But I'm a good guy. I got an amazing family. I went to a beautiful school. How does one get here? And like Gaza, we said, it's degree by degree by degree. Hey, Gaz, and so if Gareth and I tonight hop in the car and we head for Cape Town, and then by Galoonies, Gareth gives me a piece of biltong and I take it and I change the radio station to listen to you online instead of another big station. I missed a tunnel. And in a heartbeat, 1 degree, one decision, you're there. And instead of self-correcting and listening to the tom-tom in your spirit, Simon says, Gareth, let's just go. And tonight we're in the middle of the Karua. We're not in Cape Town. We're not in Table Mountain. We are living in a result of a bad decision, which is the Karua. And I always settled. I never self-corrected. I never bought people. Accountability is pursued. I never brought people into my life to hold me by the collar and say, go to Cape Town, Simon. You're a Cape Town guy. And I settled, and I sat there with Gareth and I said, look at the stars. We're eating lamb chop. The kura is not bad. To my whole life. And I went from there, and then drugs, and then working in places of terrible repute, and just watching other people come down with me. So yeah, Gareth, I think to be very honest, the crowd out there, it's a Friday, but self-correction from close friends, from the Lord, from the people in your circle is required, man. And but you need to reach out for it. Like I always say, the doctor never comes to you and says, how's your wisdom tooth? You make an appointment. It's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be expensive, but it's for your well-being. It's to seek accountability, I guess.
So I think that there's always a huge difference between people who are motivational speakers or influencers online and people who've actually lived a life. And you got stories,
Yeah.
man. I mean, you told me about, like, you know, driving from a strip club and you've decided you're just not going to be involved in that world anymore, and turning
Yes.
your back on it, making a single solid decision that's put you in the right direction as opposed to what you were saying now, the wrong direction. And I think when people speak
Yes.
from experience and they have a story to tell, which you obviously do, that makes it not only believable, but it seems to have a whole lot more merit and gravity. And people go, okay, I feel like listening to this guy because I could learn something, or I could just be entertained and amused. And he's not
Yeah.
making it up. He's not doing it for clicks. He's not doing it for likes. He's not doing it for the algorithm. That's the difference.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's a guess, 100%. And like we were saying the other day when we had our like a chat there, before you got your weekend pump, my life, my whole life, and especially I think, yes, what is influence? Or what is influence? And like I said to Jimbo earlier, like we change atmospheres. If they change us, it's got to be for the better. And we sit with the screen in our hands and we get tossed to and fro. If I watch a thing that has a romantic tune, you feel lovesick. If you watch a thing with a cute baby, you feel goosebumps. But you dictate what feeds you. And if a screen does that to us, and it can be great and inspiring, and go to gym and live your best life now and make $1 million. But imagine if you have real, tangible people in your lives, daily speaking life, like I mentioned earlier, myself and Vusi, Temba Kwayo, just being honest and having live wire sessions. I mean, Gareth, even in the few minutes that we chatted, just like there's a click with someone and then pursue that. So yeah, motivation is one thing, but motivated, we at Loftus the office say it, if motivation keeps you going for a couple of minutes. But inspiration is from yourself. Like, you've got to do it for you. It's not for anyone else. And for many years, Gareth, I lived the life. I lived for likes, backpats in real life, or from girlfriends or whatever. Or hey, you're a cool guy. Look at your muscles. And then on social media. But number one, likes doesn't pay my rent. So I don't have the biggest following in the world, but I'm not pursuing that. I want depth. My network is my network. I want depth. I want to speak to power, and also for the low, man. And then influence starts to come in, man, and it's people that you spend time with. So yeah, and just to say that, segue off that, guys, today, if you are sitting there and you're living for likes, for backpats, for a quick shot of adrenaline, rather go. And the guys who have made the biggest difference in my life, now I pursue them. A guy to grab me by the collar, and instead of saying I love you on my back, they grab you. Simon, I love you. What are you doing? That's a stuff up. Show me your bank balance. Show me who you're visiting. Let's make a plan. Yeah, man.
I heard something so interesting yesterday. There were two guys on this podcast I listened to talking about how a man is often motivated very differently to the way a woman is. You know, like for women, it's important to feel a sense of belonging. You want to be heard. You want to know that people care. You want that connection. And for guys, it's really important for guys to be needed. Like if a guy's going off track, you don't say to him, "You're a fuck up," and let's talk about it. You say to him, we need you. How do we get you back on track? Because this organization, sports team, family, we need you, and we need you on all the right marks. You need to be firing on all cylinders. You need to be in your best power to be able to deliver for all of us, for the rest of us. And you're an important part of this. You can't just motivate guys by sitting down and letting them talk about their problems. Frankly, when I see dudes online saying how they feel, I I just want to mock them. And I'm not a horrible person. I'm not exactly, Jesus, but I'm not a horrible person. I just want to laugh at these guys. They don't seem to me to be serious people.
Yeah. But guys, I think that, and it's this is gonna rock the woke boat, but that's what we're here to do, is to disrupt.
Go on.
Come on. But feelings are liars, and I think most motivational speakers or Oprah Winfrey, follow your heart. Gareth, if I followed my feelings, I would have committed suicide. I'd be back on drugs. I would be a wreck. If I followed my heart, please don't let me follow my heart. Follow wisdom, follow my spirit, and follow wise counsel. And 100%, we've become so feminized in that sense where it's all feeling. 100%, there's room for that, as long as you've got a group of elders. For me, it's a plum point spiritually here. But when this thing starts overthinking, Gareth, my worst moments are overthinking. I mean, I've done hectic, hardcore drugs and everything. My biggest battle, and I said that to you the other day, is like it was just depression and anxiety. And I spoke at a forum the other day, and I told him about my drug past, and I can see this ex-coach gasping with shock. And I said, hold on. Who's on antidepressants here? Who's on blood pressure pills? Whose kids are on Ritalin? Not that it's a bad thing, but I said, you probably are all spending more money than I ever did on cocaine legally to plug a gap. And I'm not disparaging it. There's a place for this, and I understand that. But guys, there's got to come a time where you hold yourself in the mirror and you go, men, let's make a plan. And I am all for men and tribe. We live in a tribal culture. Men, that's why there's Uffy's Club 600, the Liverpool Supporters Club. We are craving a place where iron sharpens iron. But instead of that, we go, how's the diesel price? What cruise are you driving and what you wearing? Please, can we let that go, man? Life is too short for that.
Start complaining about the economy or the government or business is hard. No one wants to hear that shit. And by the way, I'm pleased you used the word feminized, but I don't know that it's really the right word in this context, because the truth is, for men, that feminized stuff doesn't work, but for women, that stuff does have an effect, and it's a very positive effect. And we just need different stuff, right? I think that often, as guys, we're always told by the media, by the therapy industrial complex, that we got to talk about our feelings. We've got to be vulnerable. But for most guys, that is not something that we want or need, and it doesn't help us to do that. It doesn't make us better. There are some guys I'm sure it'll work for, but certainly that's never worked for me. I've never been like, oh, now that I've been vulnerable, I feel better about things, and let me get back to where I was in this project. It doesn't happen.
Yes, it's so funny you said. So years ago, my wife and I were going to a braai. Good friends, not cocaine addicts, not strippers, solid oaks, good mates, still are good mates. And she just said, "Listen, it's a Friday night. Why are we going here?" And I said, "No, but that's our chommies. It's our choms." And she said, "Sai, I can predict the night. All the guys are gonna sit around the Weber, and you're gonna talk about the Masters and about the Bulls and the diesel price, and by the time that the lamb chops are cooked, there'll be no gravitas." And I'm not saying we have to go and sing Kumbaya and rub each other's shoulders and have a comfort circle at every bride. Come on, let's enjoy. But she said on the other side, so the guys say nothing for 2 hours, nothing of depth. On the other side, the chicks are having a champagne and eating a sliced carrot, and they're talking too much. It's just it's overthinking. So you've got, and then we get back in the car, and there's this absolute disparity. It's like there's just, and the funny thing is at the moment, and it sounds very harsh, at the moment the men talk more about their feelings, but asking for advice. Doctor, my tooth is sore. He's not going to go, how do you feel? Let's take it out. It's going to cost you. It's going to be sore. You won't chew for a week. Let's sort it out. Hey, dude, I'm struggling with, I've got a massive porn addiction. Cut your flip and Wi-Fi. Hey, I'm overspending. Cut the DSTV. Who watches it anyway? Just to be harsh, like why are you driving that car? So when the women overtalk it and they overthink it, so you get, we've got in the car and there's this huge Berlin Wall of just like, you're almost getting pissed off at me, and it's like, what have I done? And I come, so I think it's this thing where, women can just shush a bit more, men can talk a bit more, but listen, and also, like I said, man, I love a Joel, I love a Kaya, but once a week, sit with a chum and say, listen, today we're going to bench press, and I'm going to ask you about your bucks, your intimacy, your sexuality, and your depression, and go. and then we can enjoy. But once a week, we pursue friendship. And like I always say, what you spend time with is what you smell of, man. So if I spend time in a dustbin, like when I was a boomy, you'll smell of rubbish. If I spend time with you, Gaza, I'll come with a way better lexicon of words. I'll become savvy. I'll be crossing the line with chats and enjoying. But it's just spend time with you, man.
But explain to people how the first job offer and who gave you that offer too, because he's been a person who died a short while ago, and everybody only remembers the hooker and the underpants and everything. But old Joost van der Westhuizen did quite a lot for you at a time where you had nothing.
Yes, so amazing story. And if any of the guys hear this, they will record it. And thank you, champion. So bumbling around tucks and just living a life of smoke and mirrors and conning the world. And when the lights at the stadium would go out, I'd sneak away and Dorse or whatever. And Joost van der Westhuizen was the coach at Tucks. Dick Muir was involved as well. Awesome crop of players and Penny Claassen. So it was just beautiful era. Aaron Deninga, shout out to you and Zim, big tobacco farmer now. And and so I would just lurk and I would just watch these guys at Tucks training. I had nothing to do. And so friends out there, what does a waiter do when he waits? Like at Aroma Coffee here, you serve. And I didn't know that yet. I need a father figure to tell me, and you taught me that. He saw me and said, Simon, we see you. Do you think you're hiding? And I think often when you're living in a better word, sin or shame or a struggle, you think no one sees. The right people will see you. And so I didn't approach him. He approached me and said, Simon, we've got cones here. Can you lay them out? We've got guys you can stretch. Can you give them a bit of a jog? And how can we help you? And so, yes, and like I said, so often we paint someone with the wrong brush. Hey, we've all stuffed up. I've got grace today because I'm that guy. I'm the stuff up. So I've got grace because I've been afforded grace by many people. So in memoriam, yes, he gave me the best, excuse the pun, pop pass ever. Just by seeing me, just see people from your maid, guys. When you wake up in the morning, I think so often we want to be in the courts of kings and go and be movers and shakers, but you're greeting your maid who runs your life with a cuck attitude. Hey, I mean, I'm not saying, like I said to someone that day, the way that you treat a guy at the robots, yes, I don't love it, but I don't have to give him $5. But hey, smile. Just say no, thank you with a smile. It's for you. It's not even for him. It's for you, man. And when you walk into the boardroom, I promise you now, you're gonna walk in like royalty because you treated the maid well. The bigger the security guard, then when you've got expo, guys, you're firing, man. So it's I think, and Joost did that to me. He honored the little thin rat from Zim, man. And from there on, met old Jake White. He was under 18 coach with the Box. Here's Peace, Brian and Banner, Chili Boy, Alapele, champions. They're all no-name brands. And they rocked up a Tux one day and they saw me doing my little thing and they gave me a gap. And PSP said, come help us. So while my friends were all carrying on and doing all their great coaching jobs and driving their first car, I had this buggered up scooter with no exhaust pipe and no license. Like I told you guys, the cop could never really arrest me because it was like a free flow engine on a John Way with no indicators. I was just going to Hatfield Square and back. It wasn't far. and had my little dumbbells in the seat of it, and I would go and train people. And it was my entrepreneur vehicle. And the cops at night would stop me and they'd say, Simon, they knew me well. Simon, listen, dude, we can't impound this bike because number one, you don't have a license, but also you don't have an address. I said, I'm from Zim and I'm living on a field. And they're like, you're like a diplomat. You've got immunity, man. But like I said, while everyone was punching through and driving there, what was the car of the year then? It was the terrible green Corsas where the back window would often pop. I remember that. Little two doors. Everyone had that kind of dodgy scooter. They were living their best life now. Corsa Light. And you shake your fist at God and go, why me? But if I didn't have that, Gareth, what did I tell you now? Gareth had a great life, did a 40 degree. I'm a physio now. No, nothing to tell you on a Friday. Your struggles are your story. Your test is your testimony, man.
All right. So the people who are listening to this now say, okay, great story. And it is. I mean, I'm really pleased that I met you because it always fascinates me to hear what people are really up to and what they've been through. You meet them in the condition they're in now. You wouldn't recognize them if you met them the same version of that or a different version of that person 5 years ago. But let's talk about change because a lot of people struggle to deal with change. They want things to stay the same. Of course, they never do. What advice and what experience do you have in dealing with change better and making it work for you as opposed to against you?
Sure, guys. Well, what a good question. So, yeah, so what I do for a living, apart from sell groin trimmers, is a motivational speaker, but also like a life coach. I'm a life coach. I walk apart with individuals, with corporates, with teams, and change is it's a daily thing. Guys, like I said, I can get goosebumps if I watch the World Cup '95 highlights. I promise you, I'll go and do drop kicks. I mean, when we were kids, man, I'm sure Gary do the same, man. We'd watch Wimbledon and we'd have strawberries and cream, and we'd hop onto the back wall and we'd hit 100 balls. Mum and Dad, that's it. I've been inspired by Goran Ivanisevic or Sampras, tennis player.
Right.
And the next day I want to be a rugby player. The next day I want to be a boxer. And I think we have that in our adult form as well. It's like we've got so many people dripping in, and you change because of a WhatsApp post. You change because of, and for the negative, hey. And like I always say, if someone's name pops on my phone, immediately I get either a joyful feeling or a feeling of foreboding. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, no, thanks. And the more that I reach out to the guys who are hold me accountable, the more I change. Yeah, change is a daily thing. Like I always say, like I do a bit of online personal training, and guys always say like, hey dude, I need a 6-pack by Mshlanga Rocks in January. Come on, let's go in December, whatever. And they all want it in 2 days' time. And I think it's Simon Sinek said, when is a 6-pack formed? You know, you go, I'm sure you know this chess, and you go there the first day and you flip and you're taking a creatine and you're there Virgin or Planet Fitness, and you've got LB Geldenace's USM popped up to your eyeballs, and you creatine and everything. You've got the right kit on, and you go in the mirror at home, and you no 6-pack. 2 days later, no 6-pack. Somewhere between week 4 and 5, someone's going to go, Gareth, like I saw your guns the other day, popping, brother. And that was even before you trained. I thought you had a pump coming down. And someone's going, Gareth, cheaper, dude. What are you doing differently? I don't know when it happened, but spending time at Virgin Active Krinkliff has every morning at 11 o'clock has yielded the result. I don't know what happened, but I think chats with Gareth every morning has expanded my mind and my vocab. So once again, change is a daily progress thing. And it's the hardest decision, Gareth, is the best decision. I say it with gym. Gym is one thing. To go to the gym, like we said, I'm on the couch, like you said it the other day. Don't always want to come here, but I force myself. The hardest decision, friends, is the best decision. If it's the easy part, I promise you it's a shocker. Years ago, Gareth, we were in Zim as lighties, and we went on this youth camp, and we were teenagers and just being rats and like really salty. And at the youth camp, the one day they climbed Mount Nyangombe, which is the highest mountain in the Eastern Highlands in Zimbabwe. And myself, my brother, and a few other rats, we were like 13, 14 years old. No, we're not going to go. We want to go and chat to chicks around the tent, and we're not going to climb the mountain. 8 hours later, they came back from mountain climb, and they were bubbling. They saw sights. They took photos. And we'd sat in the campsite because we were lazy. We didn't want to make the hard decision. So we never thought of you. Make the flipping decision every single day, man. The hardest decision is the best decision. And one day we'll go, something's different, Gareth. What's different? Who are you spending time with?
Yeah. Well, that brings up what Carl the Porra in the comments says. Carl says, the single most important lesson I'm trying to teach my kids is that you become the average of the people you spend your time with. The company you keep makes you. Do you agree with that?
110%, Gareth. I mean, and I think at 43 years old now, in retrospect, but that's why I'm here today, speaking about my mistakes and failings, and I've got 2 boys and a daughter. I mean, the relationship where just tell people your mistakes, man. Tell people how it's going to go. And if I had a savvy mind, a mature mind when I was younger, I would have. And I've had legends around me, but I've decided for many years, and that's what led me into such nonsense, to not pursue the hard decision, not pursue the. And people are waiting for it. I mean, I sit with people of captains of industry, multimillionaires, car guards, rugby players, and I can choose to send a message to say, hey, Jake White, can I have a coffee with you? And the funny thing is, most people and men or women of esteem are so keen to love on us. We are just too arrogant to ask. We think no. And I mean, I do it often. I just reach out and say, I've got a mentor guy called Bathy. And I said to him, it was my birthday this year on the 3rd of Jan. And I said, hey, for my birthday present, I want to give myself a present. And I'm going through some stuff in my life. And would you walk the path with me every week? I'll pay you for your time. He said, you don't need to pay me. I'll buy the coffee, but be there at 8 o'clock. Don't be late. And it cost me. It's hard. Hey, he stripped me apart, and but it's pursued. It's absolutely pursued. And and the world is waiting to love on us. We think people are hard, especially. I mean, I'm in Pretoria. We think it's hard for Afrikaans in the African industry. It's not. Men of honor cannot wait to dive into the next generation. Like we can't for our kids. I love it. My life, he says, Dad, help. I don't say I'll check my schedule. I run to help. Yeah,
Sure.
and there are people like that. Yeah,
I met a guy yesterday for coffee. A guy called Archie Dlamini. He's a lawyer in Pretoria. Older guy. He's one of those wise, sort of looks really sensible. Looks like he knows a lot of stuff. And I met him coincidentally the other night, and we took each other's numbers, and we sat and spoke. He just wants to fix Pretoria. I mean, this is his thing. You brought up Pretoria. And sitting there listening to him, he's got such a passion and an energy for doing things, for making Pretoria a cultural center, for giving it the glow that it needs as our capital city. And there are lots of people like that out there who are just waiting to do great things. And some of them aren't waiting. They've already started doing great things. He's among them. I do marvel at that. There's no point in sitting feeling sorry for yourself or imagining that there are people who are actively working against you, because they're not. You're not that important that some other people somewhere in the world are plotting against you. Instead, you could be getting on with it, making shit happen, making an effort with somebody else. And you never know. I mean, you talk about the car guard or the people at the traffic lights. I do believe that you could probably learn a lesson from everyone. And I try really hard to not abuse the car guard because I'm in a bad mood that day, or because I look at my petrol gauge and I think, fuck, this is going to cost me, a week's fucking money to fill this car. That's how expensive it's becoming.
For sure.
You don't take that out on him.
Yeah. No, Gez, you did right. And Gez, I think for me, that's the big thing is like, we sit in a world now where it's like, we were, and it's like I said, I spoke at Marcius from the 4am Club. I spoke at his lovely event last year, Champions of Life, and I don't know anything about economics. I know nothing about stocks and bonds, and that's all they know, and they are great at it. I don't know what equity means, but they use it a lot, and they're very clever. But so I got on stage and I just said, listen, guys, can I tell you why I speak hope? So they were speaking about putting money in offshore accounts and the Isle of Wight and stuff that is beyond my pay grade. And Simon, tell me about what's your take on putting bucks over here and there. And I don't have any take on it. And I said, listen, what I do know, why this country is full of promise. And I said two things. Julia Mashlangu, so shout out to the lady who helps us at our home. She's a queen. And I said, overseas, guys, I could never afford a Julia. I don't want to move to Texas. And I mean, if you're called, like I always say, if you're called to go overseas, go. Don't be pushed by fear. Don't let the guilt push you.
Sure.
Be called to go somewhere. Don't be pushed by fear. Because if I'm from Zim, if I read that report every day, man, we'd flee. And ironically, I'm going back to Zim on Monday to do a business deal. The place that I've pushed out of my mind for years. Guess what's calling me back? But I'm called to go there. So don't be called. Be called. Don't be pushed, rather. Secondly, so Julia Mashlangu, queen of my life. I'm staying in the country for Julia. She is raising my children. She is washing my clothes. She is our home. She's not a maid, huh? She's our home. And secondly, Pretoria. Sorry, Cape Town and PE. But Pretoria is the most windless city in the world. Blue sky.
Really?
It's in the world. There is not a wisp of wind in Pretoria ever. There's blue skies. We live in paradise, guys. So, and if I had to move to the UK and I had grey skies, if you're there, good luck. But after 3 days, I get physically depressed. Man. I can't kick a rugby ball. The cricket sucks. Everything sucks. So Julia Mashlangu and the weather of Pretoria, very basic and banal things. But what more am I seeking? Do I want to drive a 300 series flipping Merc? No. Do I want to have a home cooked meal and clean dishes? 110%. You might be so. So yeah, I think lower your standards and be great. And I hate that everyone goes, that word gratitude, but it really is. It's a magic potion. Gratitude. I mean, I wake up, Gareth, and I said this to someone today. And I said to him, "What is your first gospel?" I wake up, I doors, and I turn to my left. My phone is there. I pick it up, and I allow this silly device to speak death into my life, or jealousy, or whatever. That's my first point of call. Is what is the world doing, or what is Trump doing, or what is Iran doing, or it's a weird message from a guy saying 3 question marks. You're not replying. Very bad replying. You're not replying your phone. And I get it from there, and I stumble into the shower. I stumble into the car, and by the first robot, I'm showing a taxi driver, and then I must go to a company and speak live. Good Lord. Hey, how you start your day, it is everything. I let this gospel of this flipping phone, I allow it to dictate my day. I turn left, and I say, feed me, world, instead of being fed myself. So it's like space, like I said, it's basic stuff, but it's pivotal. It's everything.
It's really important to Carl's point in the comments too, to have people you can talk to. Again, the good times and the bad. And I often think that people are a bit slack with compliments. Like when I find out that someone I know has done something really good, or they're doing something really good, or they've come up with an idea and they're about to implement it, and they're just quietly doing it without looking for attention and fanfare and likes and clicks and all that stuff. I always make an effort to like trumpet their achievements, and some of them get a bit embarrassed about it because you've got to be humble about things. But I always think it's a really big deal for you to celebrate other people's victories. And for some reason, some people find that hard. They don't like to build up anyone else in case, I suppose, in some recess of their mind, they're worried about coming up short themselves. So they just don't say anything complimentary or boast about their friends to their other friends. I love doing that stuff. When I introduce people to each other, I'm like, this guy is a total piece of shit, but man, is he clever. You've got to talk to him for 5 minutes. Your whole life will change,
Yeah, guys, man, I totally agree, guys. I think we are the same, built the same. Like, you trumpet someone's CV. I don't know if you, and just to the audience out there, I don't know if you've ever experienced when to you it's a flippant comment, but if I see a guy, I spot a nice haircut quickly, or a nice jacket, or a cologne on a guy, sounds flippant gay. But if a guy smells nice, instead of going, what, I go, dude, what is that, bro? I want that. And I've had guys do that to Simon, keep us, dude, your chest is looking good. And it took him 2 seconds, or your shirt looks nice, it matches your eyes, or whatever. And I promised it was a flippant small comment. I walk away and I just go boom. And I'm a people person, so I do that and I get it all day. Imagine to the lady behind the bookkeeper, imagine to your maid, imagine to the cashier's got it. And you know what? The biggest challenge is that we do it to the people we like, but often you sit there and you get a checkers and the lady's got a duck back, but she's been working since 8 in the morning, eh? And you're like, oh, look at the attitude, and they're packing your stuff. But and I go, I can either build up this wall in my heart, and if you eat poison, you die. And I walk out, I stuff the country, the bad attitudes, or you can just honor them, man.
You see, again, I also think that people who are unhappy, and we've got to bring this to a close at some point, but I'm enjoying it talking to you. People who are really unhappy, they've whatever reason, and people have got good reasons and bad reasons to be unhappy. You might have a health issue, you might be in a relationship situation that's not going so well, you might have financial concerns. We all have those, right? So you're unhappy. It seems to me that a lot of people try to distract themselves from dealing with the reason for their unhappiness by looking at international politics, or blaming the government, or complaining about how taxes are so high, or my Uber was 5 minutes late, or traffic is shitty, or the weather, everything except actually looking at the problem face to face and dealing with it.
For sure, Gaz. And you know what? I mean, I know time is short, but for a takeaway, someone said such a cool thing the other day. It's like a game changer. He said, switch the ratio. He said, how many days, and I know it's a corny thing, but how many summers do we have left? Like, how many mornings do we have left doing this? Eh? It's very minimal. And if you start counting like it, and what is the point? And it sounds very morbid, but I enjoy a funeral sometimes, and I'll say why. It's because you get this punch for an hour, and there's a boring Germany, and there's a hymn, but it's like this. It's a cold shower, and I go, flipping heck, guys, that can be me soon, hey? And it's like, what is it worth? And I promise, like, guys, the world is not thinking about you. We overthink stuff so much, man. And I'm not saying yet again, be flippant and just live your best life. I said, but be cognizant of the fact that no one really cares, and the people who care are invited. Invite me into your life. I've got a great friend, Daniel Edge, and I always say it's can do Dan. He's the kind of guy who at 2 a.m, I always said that the litmus test of a good friend. Garrett phoned me at 2 a.m. Sai, I'm in Polokwane with a puncture. Dude, I'll come, man. I can't do maths. I'm very bad at science, but I'll come. I'm your chum. And it's like, surround yourself with people who, and not just theoretical big chats. I sit around Bryce and his Lonnie dinners, and I hear a lot of waffle. The next morning, when that guy's alcohol buzz has faded at 7 a.m, dude, bring out the coffee. Dead. Be the same person after 2 drinks and with an espresso in your hand. Be my friend then. And that's the only integrity to have to offer. I've stuffed up so much in my life. So, but yet again, Today, I make a decision. Tomorrow, it's a bit better. The next day, we're changing the world.
Who did that excellent self-portrait of you behind you on the screen?
Oh, so this is Aroma. So this is Aroma. Check, guys, have a look at this place. So Aroma on Atterbury, amazing crew. But check this. What do you need in the morning? Anyway, look at this place. Look at that, guys. So Atterbury Road. It's a cool little one-stop shop. You pull in just down the road from the Worcester Minlu Park. And so I'm at Aroma. It's just look at their social media. They're taking photos. They've just got a new Italian oven. I don't know what that does. We'll find out just now. But just very cool people, smiling, joyful. And no, we're living our best life here. So yeah, that portrait is based on me. They took a photo.
Yeah,
and
that's beautiful.
But we just use we use a skate here on the gorilla, and yeah, just to show our prowess. So yeah. So shout out to Aroma for being
one last thing, because people who aren't following you on social media might want to do this. I saw a clip of yours came up. You were at the Uffies and Garsfontein game, because you're involved also in like school rugby shit, right?
100%, man. Love it. Yeah. So rugby, derby day rugby.
Sorry, it wasn't even social media. You know where it was? I saw it at someone's house. Their TV was on, and there was an Uffies Garsfontein game. I saw this dude like running in front of the crowd, and it was you.
It was me, man. It was me, Gaza. Yeah. So Gaza, So Simon says serve as my Instagram. I sell life, man, and hope. From physical, so body, gym, to emotional. I'm a life coach, and just trying to change the world. Schools, I love schools. It's. I remember, Gareth, just for the sake of time in closing, like especially a Friday, sitting cross-legged in an all-boys school, 1,500 boys, and assemblies were boring. It's the same chaplain, the same boring headmasters preach and speech, and then once in a while they'll have a cool guy would come. I mean, we had a team called the Power Team from America. They tore phone books in half, and the whole school livens up. And I realized, Gareth, you and I are privileged. We live in quite a lively world, from here to Amazon to who knows where, to Loftus. But most people sit from a 9 to 5, and I'm not disparaging it. It's life. You must do it. And we are all looking to be someone's excitement. Like on the way to the coffee station, speak life, man. Give a compliment. Like I said, we would wait the whole week for this highlighted assembly. The moldable lighties, and this guy, and I remember cricket coaches who were pretty doff in retrospect, but the guy said, Simon, nice bicycle, great off spinner, and I can remember those words to this day, compliments and speaking life as opposed to death. So speak life from the coffee shop to the HR department. Come on, man.
You don't know what someone's going through. They might be having the worst fucking time of their life. They might have just lost the most important person in their universe. You never know. And if you just are kind in that moment, it can change everything. That whole person, that spirit lifts. You could see the energy creep back into them. I mean, it's not difficult. Your energy expenditure is tiny, and this person suddenly has got enough breath for the day. Wild.
Yeah, often when you walk into a dinner party, you don't know some people, and you see the one guy who looks like a real droll in the corner, or the macho guy. Generally, 90% of the time when I walk into a guy and I think that guy is a droll, by the end of the night, that's the champion. That's the guy. It's amazing, eh? You're like, dude, I so judged you. That's your job, yeah. I get it all the time. You look so different. You sound different than you look. I mean, Gareth, I'm working with the Zim Sables rugby team. We're going to the World Cup next year in Aussie, and they brought me on board in a small motivational way. And we sat in Bulawayo last week, and it's a melting pot of cultures. It's Zimbos from Aussie, all playing, and they fly in. Pete Bernardi, the coach from Cape Town. There's guys from Aussie, the fly half. It's just there's Afrikaners in it, and it's like the Zim of old, where my heart in the mid-90s, where Zim was just like, it was at its peak. And I said in the speech, I said, these relationships are a decision. It's a decision. Yes, there's cultural differences, there's lingo differences, but I myself and Gareth, you as a Soti in Pretoria from Hatfield Square Days, we're living proof of that, man. If you want to change atmosphere, reach across, get uncomfy for a bit, but what does it cost you? You can only win. Often when I sit and I don't want to go to an event, and I always say yes. Just say yes. If you didn't go, it didn't happen. If you didn't film it, it didn't happen. If you don't have the conversation, you don't get the deal. Who knows? They might say, no, you can't afford the car. Ask the question. Love on the weird person. And the world becomes your oyster in seconds. And it's the best antidote for depression, friends, is to have gratitude and get out of your flippant shell and love on someone else. There's always someone worse than you.
All right, dude. Thank you. You've motivated the hell out of all of us for the morning. And everybody in the comments section, thank you very much. Everybody who doesn't come into the comments section, thank you so much. We will see you next Friday. Have an absolutely incredible weekend. And we'll be back Friday next week, 6 a.m. I've also got some updates on our new daily briefing, which is going to start hopefully soon. I'm just waiting for the Americans to sort out 1 or 2 technical issues. And then we've got a whole new universe to explore and have fun with and cut the crap from. So I will give you updates as and when those come through. Stick around for that and a whole lot more. We will see you next week. Cheers.
Champions. Thanks, Gaza.